go from there, and hopefully Jenny will come on. So what we're going to do in this class is first we're going to look at each other's pictographs and ideographs and just talk about them real briefly. And then we're going to look at chapter 2 in the book. And then we're going to talk about the next assignment, which is the 27th letter assignment. And okay, so what we're going to do is Daniel has already done this. He is shared the screen. So I'm going to let him talk about his designs that he's done. Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, so the first and second one are my pictographs, and the middle one is the ideograph. I really chose these because they just made like the most sense to me, and like I had like different ideas to edit them to make them a little better than they were in the thumbnails. Like for example, the one with the Juice World silhouette, I had 999 on like his little like chest, I guess.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I took it out of it because I just didn't think it would look right. Or at least I couldn't make it look right the way I wanted it. So I ended up leaving it like that.
Okay.
And I also played around with like the negative space. Like on a separate piece, I did the background black and then made him entirely black, and I ended up liking how it looked with him filled in instead of the background.
Okay.
But yeah, the pictographs, they're both like changed from my thumbnails. They don't look like similar. For example, like the one on the last one, it only had one music note, and I ended up giving it 2 music notes to kind of really emphasize that it was music. And little stars to just kind of give it a little more. And then the chef's hat was supposed to represent cooking, but originally it just had a chef's hat, which would have just meant chef.
Right.
That's why I had the spatula behind it to put like make it more of cooking.
Okay. Which one do you like the best of the 3?
The middle one. The middle one for sure.
The middle one? Okay. Okay. I have to say the chef hat and the spatula there have really good negative space. Have some inside interior spaces. So I like that. And although the shape for your, now what's the guy called in the middle?
Juice WRLD.
Juice WRLD. Very good shape there with his hair and all that. And good decision on trying to work with the background and the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, great. I have to say that the music one, I like the stars. For that space, the notes could be a lot bigger.
Yeah, I realized that at the end, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I can't really go back now.
Oh yeah, it's hard to go back. Okay. Okay, great. So Daniel, click off your share screen.
Okay.
So Noah, have you got yours pulled up? Click the thing. It's the little bar in the middle of your screen has an arrow with a little rectangle. All right. Click on that, and then you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, so I clicked it. Is it sharing my screen?
So then after you click it, then you should be able to, in the lower left-hand side, it'll show your designs if you've got them pulled up.
Like
it's not
when I click the open share tray, it just opens up a black bar. Like
okay.
Am I?
It's whatever shows on your computer. Do you have a tab at the top that you can click and show your designs?
Yeah, well, can you see my computer right now? That's what I'm wondering.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not doing it? Okay.
So
it's tricky. I had to practice a lot.
I just feel like there's something missing. I don't know if it's because my
let's try someone else. Let's see.
All right.
Nick, see if you can hit the share screen thing.
Okay. Let's see.
It's a little bar. It's a rectangle with an arrow pointing up. If you click on that.
Yep. Can you see my critter here?
Sure can.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Great. So
Alright.
tell us about them.
So my pictograms are the left one here and the middle one, and then the right one is the ideogram. So the left one is a battle axe, two-headed axe. The second one is a fireman's axe. And the third, the ideogram, is a sword and a halberd crossed to represent combat.
Okay.
I like that.
Which of the three, which are your favorite design?
I enjoyed creating the battle axe. The fireman's axe was difficult, very much freehand, not a lot to mirror. And I think I enjoyed the ideogram most. I had fun making both weapons and then placing them individually.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
Thank you.
That looks pretty good. I have to say the slant of the fireman's axe, fill in the space there is good, but the combat ideograph with the two different. So what'd you call? I know what the sword is. What'd you call this? The other axe?
It's a halberd, so like a
Oh.
long pole arm.
Okay. I mean, that came out. You got some good details in there. Came out really nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. So unshare your screen.
Gotcha. Let's see there.
So let's see. Jenny, you want to try to hit the shared screen button, see if it works?
Yeah. Is it working?
So you open your little bar there, and there's a little rectangle with an arrow.
Right.
You hit that, and then whatever showing on your computer should show.
Is it showing now?
Not yet. Now it is.
Oh, what is it saying?
There we go. Okay.
So I put open system preferences, or because
Hold on a second.
maybe I can.
Yeah, just move that little out of the way. Yeah, and then tell us about your designs.
Okay, so they're pretty simple. I did right here. I did the taco, which was just food, representing food, because I ended up choosing just the topic of spicy food as my final, and so then I chose, and then I just did. I feel like I could have done better right here with like, maybe the background should have been black, and then the jalapenos could have been like white, but I did the jalapenos because those are like, they represent the spicy aspect, and then I did the final, which was the ideogram, and then that was just the food, the taco with the flames on top, just to make it, just to have that idea that it's spicy food.
No. Okay. So which design do you like the best?
This one right here.
The spicy food one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the most fun doing that one. I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like I even said it in my little written defense that I feel like sometimes simple is harder than more complex. I don't know.
Yeah. It is. Oh, it's simple's tough.
Yeah.
I have to say, I like the interior of the taco on your other design without the flame.
This
It's a
one?
little thicker. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's because these I drew like by hand, and then
Okay.
this one I drew on my iPad with a stylus, so it's more cleaner. I feel like so I think I'm gonna start doing everything on my iPad now,
Okay.
because just I can clean it up a lot more and I can manage the details better.
Sure. In fact, I haven't mentioned this, but a lot of the computer companies are having sales for Labor Day, and I think I'm going to get a new tablet so I can draw better because my tablet's not working anymore. Okay, great. So unshare your screen
Okay, so
and hit that same button. Yeah,
did it unshare?
it unshared.
Yep.
All right.
Ariana,
And okay.
Noah, you think you can do it? You want to try it again?
Yeah, and first, do you want to see what I did digitally? Because it does not look the same as my marker, but it's what I wanted it to look like.
Sure.
Okay.
Hit the share screen button.
Can you see it?
Nope.
Any luck now?
No. Are you hitting the button, your button, where it's the rectangle with the little up arrow?
Yeah, and then it like pulls up this black bar beneath it, like a thick, like grayish black bar, and it's just empty underneath that. So I almost feel like, do I have to drag something in there?
It's
Or
weird.
Can
So
you scroll? Is there a scroll bar? Because for me, when it comes up, I have a bunch of windows I can choose from to display.
yeah, it's not giving me anything.
not giving you that. Or scroll down. Can you scroll
Yeah.
down on your actual screen and then you'll see the choices to click on? No?
No. Yeah, I'm not getting anything.
I
Here,
might try to
so-
go to I might try to go to yours online. Ariana, what we're doing is sharing screen. So Nick or Noah, sorry, Noah, unshare your screen. So Ariana, click the share screen button, which is the rectangle with the arrow, and you've got to pull up your design, and so we can see it. Your pictogram and ideograph.
Okay. Can you see?
Not yet. It is tricky. It takes some practice.
See.
If you click that little button with the, do you have your pictogram pulled up in another tab?
Hold on. Let's see this one. Can you see it?
No?
No?
Oh, now we can. We're seeing something. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. And this
Okay, so
one.
tell us about them.
Okay, so for this project, I focused on the stargazing row of my thumbnails, and I chosen the constellations and the telescope as my pictographs, and then my one with the little person on the bottom as my ideograph. I don't know if I said that right.
People argue about how to say that.
Yeah.
That is certainly one way to pronounce it. Yes.
Yeah.
So which design do you like the best there?
I mean, I like all of them. They're fun to do. I enjoyed drawing them. I don't have a favorite.
Okay. The only thing I would say, I love the stars one at the top, although I like the person gazing out the window to the stars as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because stars are white, I'd be very tempted to have the window be black and the stars be white in the black window.
Yeah,
just because they're normally white.
that would make sense. I didn't think about that.
Okay. Okay, great. So unshare your screen. So let's see. I'm gonna try to share my screen, and I'm gonna try to go to Noah's thing. Although Noah, it's not gonna be your
digital. It's going to be my marker, which
yeah,
which I can use to explain certain aspects.
oops. Let's see. There we go.
All right. Well, first off, the one on the far left is an ideogram of classical music. I included a lot of instruments, musical notes, and the conductor himself to try and emphasize the idea rather than just like a bunch of instruments and just a guy. And then the center one, that represents driving. I tried emphasizing the driving aspect of it by putting all those like speeding lines on the outside. And that's a pictogram. And the last one is also a pictogram of cleaning, but in more specific in this case would be bathing. Yeah.
Okay, which one do you like the best?
Well, out of the marker ones, I would say I like the classical music, but once I did the digital, I would say that it was most definitely the bathing or the cleaning, because I was just really impressed that I was able to do something so complex as like a human leg using digital.
Yeah, actually, and I got your digital one, so that did look good. Although I have to say the driving one looks very good on the digital ones also, because it's a good negative space.
Yeah, it was most definitely my most simple of them, and I realize now that I probably could have gone a little bit more simple than I did with a lot of this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the music one's very complex. You could probably have done it with less instruments, but still nice design. Okay. The one that seems on the music one that you could probably do without the easiest, because you've got these pretty simple instruments of the drum, the violin, the flute, and the trumpet, is get rid of the piano. But
yeah,
if you like this one better, that's the one to work on. Okay. Okay, great.
I gotta say the detail in the face of the person bathing was definitely the most impressive. Getting like the eyelashes.
Oh yeah.
Nose, mouth,
well,
yeah,
and I realized now, or after I finished drawing, because the marker I had been using that was a fine tip went dry, so I had to use a thick marker, and then so I realized that we actually have thin tip or fine tip markers. So in the future, I could probably do a little bit better with detail. Now that I know that we have these fine tip markers.
Oh, they came in your kit?
Yeah.
the micron
Oh,
pen.
good. Oh, great. Did everyone get their kit? Just one, or did anyone not get their kit? Okay. Okay, good. So that was an easy way to look at that, the different designs, and I'll give feedback to those when I look at them as well. But they look pretty good. Everyone get out their book and turn to chapter 2. You can get out your vocabulary sheet if you want as well to go with that, or you don't have to. It's either way is fine. The main thing I wanted to emphasize in chapter 2, and interesting enough, I mentioned this with the vocabulary before, a lot of typographers, a lot of graphic designers use these terms when you're talking about the design, and it's very helpful to know them. I think one of the trickier ones, if you look on page 48, when it talks about, it has that figure of the word expand in there, and talks about the X height, the baseline, the cap height, the ascender line, and the descender line. The fact that you can have a different cap height from an ascender line can sometimes get complex in a certain typeface. In some typefaces, those are exactly the same, but in some cases they're not, which is just a little bit more detail in that. The most important is really the baseline, the X height, and the cap height. That really determines a lot of variation. So if you have a tall X height with a certain letter, that makes it look very different than a short X height. Okay. Another thing I wanted to notice over on the bottom of page 49, you have the 2 LAF letters, and they talk about the strokes. And that is one way that you're trying to differentiate the different letters or typefaces, whether you have a thick stroke or a thin stroke, hairline stroke. So a lot of people talk about strokes when they talk about typefaces, and that's one of the big differences. Like several of you guys, when you were doing Type War, talked about Dito as a font you liked. Obviously, that has a really big contrast because it's a modern font between the stroke and the serif and the different strokes. So that's certainly a difference there. Flip on over to real quickly to page 52. And there in the far left, it has all these different C's and talks about the different types of terminals. And sometimes people get confused between, we have serifs and then we have terminals. They can be the same thing. So you can be referring to a serif terminal or a sans serif terminal, and it just talks about the different ways a stroke can end or a serif can end. Horizontal, vertical, rounded, all the different types of terminals. So sometimes that's confusing. And then over on page 53, it talks about the different types of serifs. And I was talking to Ryland, a department head, and I've always been tempted, and we have a midterm and final in this class on all this stuff, on the vocabulary. I've been tempted to have a 1 question or maybe a 2 question final, pass or fail for the whole class, on whether you can draw a sans serif letter and a serif letter. And that's because that's big. Got to be able to tell the difference. He won't ever let me do it. 1 question. Yep, he always he frowns upon that, but that's okay because it's one of those things you've got to know the difference. So obviously there's lots of different types of serifs. Okay, and then look on page 54. One of the tricky things, which is mistakenly used, is or a word part of typography that gets mistakenly used, is referring to this slant of different letters. So you have italic letters, which have a slant, and then you have oblique letters, which have a slant. An italic letter is a font that has been designed and has a different italic slant version, specifically designed different to work better. An oblique type font is where they've just taken the computer, designed the regular old font, the Roman font, and then they just drug it. They just, it's very easy in Illustrator to just slant things at a certain slant. So when you just take the regular style of the font and just slant it without doing any design, that's an oblique typeface or font. So it's a little difference between italic and oblique. Okay, so back to we're going back to page 48. I'm going to give you guys 3 things to look up real quick, and then we'll share those. So Ariana, I want you to look up what an arm, an ascender, and a bowl is. Noah, I want you to look up what a counter, a crossbar, and a descender is. Nick, I want you to look up ear, leg, and link. Jenny, you look up loop, serif, and shoulder. And Danielle, you look up spine, spur, and stem. So everyone find those really quickly in the book. I'll let you guys point those out. Let's take about 5 minutes. Anyone not remember what their things were? Okay. About 2 more minutes.
I'm sorry. What did you say my last one was?
Daniel. Stem, I think.
Stem?
Spine, spur, and stem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you find it? There it is. Okay. Ariana, tell us what you got. What you got for arm? What is it?
For arm, I have a secondary stroke extending horizontally or upward from a stem stroke and ending freely. And
Okay.
there's examples of an arm on figure 2.9. It shows what an arm is in blue.
So you can have an arm on a K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's on page 50. So those are arms. Okay, what'd you get for an ascender?
So an ascender is So an ascender is the portion of a lowercase letter that extends above the X height, which is shown in figure 2.5 on page 49.
So B has an ascender, an H, any of those, lowercase. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What'd you get for a bowl?
And then bowl is back on page 50, shown in figure 2.12, and it's a curved stroke that encloses a counter.
Right, and I'm going to talk about counters. Okay, so the bowl is the part of the letter, whereas the counter is the negative space inside a bowl. Okay, who was next? Was that Nick?
It was me.
Noah, you were next?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Counter?
Yep. So a counter, this is on page 48, if you're wondering, is an area where space is contained or enclosed by a letter form. There's a good figure of it on page 49, figure 2.3. Helps you get a good idea.
Right, so it's the negative space inside a bowl or inside a letter.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And then a crossbar is a horizontal secondary stroke that connects two main strokes. So that's on page 50. And so, for instance, like it's the line that connects the bars on an H, or the line that connects an A,
Okay.
capital A.
Okay.
And then a descender is a portion of a character that falls below the baseline. For instance, the curve on a J or the legs on a P and Q. This is page 49.
Okay. Or the G, or any letter that sticks down below the baseline. Okay, great. Nick, what'd you have? Ear?
Yes, I have ear. That's a small stroke that sometimes extends from the top of a lowercase letter, like G.
Okay. You found that on what page?
That was page 51.
51. Okay.
Link, page 51. Small connecting stroke that joins the upper and lower parts of a lowercase letter, such as G.
Okay.
And leg, page 50. A secondary stroke that extends downward from a stem to the baseline and ends freely.
Okay. So like capital R. Great. Jenny, what'd you have? Loop?
Yeah. So loop is on page 51, and it's the lower curved portion of a lowercase g.
Okay.
And then I also had serif, which is on page 52, and it's an extension at a terminal of a letter form. Also refers to a typeface that has serifs. So that one's on page 52. And then I had shoulder, which is on page 51, and it's the transitional area of a stroke that goes from curved to straight.
Okay, great. Yeah, like H ends. Okay, great. Daniel, what'd you have? Spine?
Yeah. Spine I found on page 50. It is the main curves or the curved main stroke of a letter S.
Okay.
And then for spur, it's on the next page, 51, and a small stroke sometimes found on the right side of the base of a capital letter, G.
Okay.
And then for stem, I'm pretty sure it was on page 49, but for that I found stem stroke. I'm not sure if that was.
That's it? Yep, go ahead. That's the main. So what's the difference between just a stroke and a stem stroke?
The stem would just be like the main like piece of that character.
Correct. So if you have a thin stroke and a thick stroke, then they generally call the thicker stroke the stem stroke. Okay. Everyone turn, actually, I'm going to look at counters quick again. So if you look at the counters for on page 49. So the counter ends up being somewhat important as you're doing designs. The letter is a shape. Obviously, if you're talking about the actual letter, you have stems, crossbars, strokes, all the different things, but the negative space inside a letter is the counter. So just like in designing, like we did the pictographs, you had a positive space, a negative space. Letters have the same thing, positive space and negative space. In some display fonts, they start out as a negative space, but that's a very specific type of display font. And if you noticed in the counters, you have some closed counters and some open counters. So the counter sort of ends where the letter itself ends in a lot of cases. So the counter and the negative space are a little bit tricky. It's very, sort of splitting hairs. So the negative space of a letter can include the outside part of the letter, whereas the counter, in theory, includes just the inside part, inside the bold. But there's some people argue over that. Okay, and then everyone look. Again on page 54. And this is another talking a little bit about the general names of fonts. And generally, the primary form of the font is the Roman name of the font. So if you're just clicking on a font and that's what you get first, it's the Roman version. And then all the different versions of a font or a typeface are the italic, then the oblique, and then you can go past that, the bold version, the extended version, the condensed version, the black letter version. I mean, different fonts or typefaces have a lot of different versions of that font. So down in the very bottom of page 54, it talks about a narrow set and a wide set. Very rarely do type designers say narrow set and wide set. They're saying condensed or extended. So narrow would be the condensed and wide set would be the extended. But some people use that. Okay. So we didn't go over every single vocabulary, but the vocabulary this time is to draw those things. So in each of these squares, you're supposed to draw a spine, draw a spur, draw a tail, draw a leg, apex, all those different ones. So finish that chart up. And I'm asking everyone to watch the video on measuring. The video is pretty good. There is an assignment on measuring. And go ahead and complete that. Watch the video and then complete that assignment that's on the blackboard. It's pretty straightforward. You can ask me if there are any questions on that. It's somewhat rare that we're going to be working with measuring. It's depending on what type of graphic design you end up doing in your job. If you are working with a publication or actually designing the textual blocks of a website, that's when you really get into the measuring of type. If you're just doing logos and things like that, you're not as likely to get into having to work with the measurements. Okay.
Okay.
So with
and
that question,
when you say that we'll be drawing it, we're going to be drawing that thing, but also have the definition, or is our definition just going to be the drawing?
you know, the definition is going to be the drawing.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, just do the drawing in there. So it's more of a visual. It's more knowing what the visual thing is versus the definition, because the definition can get sort of tricky.
Yeah.
So for example, in the when we get to the midterm, I am going to give you letters, and then you're going to be saying, is that a spur? Is it a loop? Is it a... So I will be pointing to a part of the letter, and then you'll be saying what it is. So it'll be more of a visual identification versus writing out the definition. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely one of the things that is going to be on the midterm is the chart on page 48, where it has the dotted line for the X height, the baseline, descender line, cap height, and ascender line. So that will definitely, labeling those will definitely be on the midterm, on the next test we have. Okay. Questions? So right now I'm going to look at the assignment sheet for assignment number 3, the 27th letter. And this is a pretty good assignment. I always like this assignment. I have for some reason, I have a bunch of these that other students have done, and I will post some other examples other than on the assignment sheet. The assignment sheet has some pretty good examples on it. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to pick a typeface that you like. But we want that typeface to be a pretty straightforward typeface. Times New Roman or Gaudi, Bookman. So what we don't want, there's a difference between a sort of a standard typeface and a display typeface. I don't want you to pick a display typeface to work with. For example, Impact is a display typeface, or a script typeface. We're not going to pick anything that would look like it would be on a wedding invitation. We're not picking those. We're just picking a standard typeface. Anyone have a typeface in mind that they're thinking about using? They already like? Baskerville's
Comes to
good.
mind is Times New Roman.
Yeah, Times New Roman's good. But anything Gaudi is good. Verdana would be fine. For sans serif, Optima is okay. But we want to have a general. I have to say this assignment's a little easier to do with a serif typeface. In fact, all the examples are serif typeface. It's a little easier. You can do it with a sans serif typeface, but it's a little easier with a serif typeface. And we're going to use the Actually, it lists in the assignment. I'm giving you guys more leeway than the assignment. It's listing only Times New Roman, Bodoni, Caslon, Garamond. You could use some other ones if you want. Then you definitely want to pick the Roman medium version. So we don't want an extended typeface. We don't want to do the italic. We don't want to do bold. So we're going to use and pick a typeface. You're going to print out the whole alphabet. Just type in A through Z, 72 point, print that out. And then you're going to use that in your tracing paper to just play around with combining the different parts of that typeface into creating a new letter, the 27th letter. So obviously the normal alphabet's 26 letters. We're using we're going to create the 27th letter. So you have to create a uppercase letter for the 27th letter and a lowercase. So whatever lowercase, play around with the uppercase, play around with the lowercase, but it has to be eventually the same letter done upper and lowercase. And you guys get to pick where is it going to be? Where is it going to fall in the order of the letters? And we're going to put it there for the final. And then a lot of letters, for example, a capital letter can look very similar to a lowercase letter, or it can look very different. So your uppercase and lowercase can look very different, or it can look very much the same. Depends on you. Like a W is very similar looking uppercase and lowercase, although a capital A and a lowercase a can be very different. Capital Q and lowercase q can be very different. So it's up to you if you want to pick the letter that you're working with that is different, uppercase and lowercase, or similar. So that's what I suggest you do. You print out both the uppercase and the lowercase letters, print them out on a regular piece of paper, however many piece of papers that takes, 72 point. Or you could draw off the computer screen for that matter. And then you just take parts of that letter and start playing around. And we're trying to do quite a few thumbnails, trying to do 20 different thumbnails on the sheet. And then you start picking the ones you like. And then on Wednesday, what I like to do is look at your thumbnail, see what you got, to see what direction you're going in. Sometimes you find a lowercase letter that you really like, and then you have to work on doing an uppercase or vice versa, either way. So similar, and then we're going to try to do the final on the computer in Illustrator, and I'm going to demonstrate that on Wednesday. Typing the alphabet out is easy on the computer. Creating the letter, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll do a demo of that. But it's basically combining. We're going to cut and paste the parts of the letter you're using. That's where we're tracing the letters. So hopefully you'll be able to use that letter in Illustrator to create your new letter. Use the different parts that you used. And sometimes we have to do some freehanding in there, but we'll see. Okay, questions?
I don't have access to Adobe Illustrator.
So, and I have had that problem too on one of my computers on this laptop. So in theory, if you email Rhineland, Mr. Perry, I think he is getting the access and has the access and can send you the link to get it as a free version as a student.
Okay.
So email him and tell me if that works or doesn't work. But I believe that you guys have access. He can get you the free access as a student. If not, we can do a workaround and use Publisher or something in MS Word project product in the meantime if you can. Mike, I might get there's a lot of sales on laptops this weekend. I may be getting a new laptop because my laptop, like the one I'm teaching this class on, for some reason is not running Adobe, and I need a new laptop. So I can only run Adobe on my desktop. That's a pain. Good question. Has anyone else gotten the free access to the Creative Cloud from the department? Anyone else done that?
No.
Okay. I may bug him and get him to send an email to everyone. Okay. Questions on picking a typeface to use on this assignment for the 27th letter and doing the thumbnails for it. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so we're making 20 capital letters and 20 lowercase letters, right?
You know, is it 20 each? You know what? For the initial 20, it can be a combination, 10 and 10.
Oh, okay.
Or it could be all 20 lowercase. And all, eventually, you've got to do an uppercase and a lowercase. So it's good to do a combination, but just 20 in total.
All right.
Yeah, good question. What usually happens is you end up with one capital or one lowercase you like, and then you, once we look at it, then you go back and do a couple more thumbnails to create the one that you don't have, is generally how it works out. Also, a good, interesting thing is to think about the order, where it is. Sometimes it helps you design, do your thumbnails. Do a letter between the A and B, do a letter between, M and M, try a couple different places. Some people, depends on what type of learner you are. Some people like to come up with different sounds, combination of sounds. In Charlotte and in the area around Concord, I swear we have a really plethora of C sounding names, which makes it almost impossible to, especially in North Carolina, for anyone to distinguish between Charlotte, Charleston, all the different C and consonant sounds. So you can come up with a new combination of sounds. So some people use that to create the letter as well, depending on how you think. Okay. Questions.
Are you getting? Oh, go ahead.
So if we don't have a printer, how would you suggest we do this?
I would type it out on the screen and just trace off whatever screen you're using.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can go on campus, obviously, and get a printer or go to Kinko's, but you can trace off the screen as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone else had a question, you guys, and we'll talk over each other.
Oh, yeah. Are you receiving my emails, or like when's the best time for me to email you?
Good question. I think I am. Didn't I respond to one over the weekend?
No, I didn't receive.
Interesting. Send me another test email right after this class and I'll respond, because I swear I answered 2 emails back from you.
Yeah, well, you did. But then one of them was oh, okay, just follow up with me, and then I tried following up with you, and then there just wasn't a response. So I just wasn't sure, because one of my other teachers said that he didn't receive an email.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I do know that you have one email that I hadn't responded to yet, and I think that's when you sent is that when you sent your digital versions?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just haven't responded to it yet, so I got it.
All right. And also with digital print, and that, do you mean like we're putting in that type of material, like for instance, Bristol paper, into the printer and then printing on it? Is that what you mean by digital print?
And I definitely don't put Bristol paper in your printer because it usually will destroy it.
Yep.
If you go to a like a FedEx, you go there and you tell them you want to print on Bristol paper, they will do it. But no, we're just printing it on regular paper.
Oh, okay. So like, for instance, like with the last assignment, it said that had to be on Bristol paper. So.
And that's a holdover from when we were actually turning them in, and as opposed to doing everything digitally. So it really doesn't have to be on Bristol. You can use Bristol, or you can use just any, your marker paper there or your computer paper.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I need to change
that. No, you're
that.
fine.
Yep. Yep. Little change modification since we're doing everything online. Other questions?
So the letter that we're gonna change, it's gonna be the 27th letter. I'm sorry, I'm so confused about. So we're gonna.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So yes, it's a little confusing in that it's called the 27th letter because it is adding a letter to the 26 that we currently have. But it does not have to be at the end, like after Z. It doesn't have to be a letter in the last letter. It can be anywhere in the alphabet you want.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then our thumbnail is gonna be, so basically our thumbnail should look like the capital letters and then the lowercase letters and then the one we're gonna make the letter that we changed a little bit. That's the one that's gonna be in big.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm going to add some more examples. There's only one example in there in the actual assignment, or several. There's like 3 examples in the assignment. Looks like they've done a derivative of the N, derivative of a B, and a derivative of a QR in between the QR and the S. So depending on what you pick, but it doesn't. Yeah, it can be anywhere you want in the alphabet.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. And the only letter we're doing big is so basically we're just using the computer to do the alphabet. And then we're going to draw the new letter, the 27th letter. And then we're going to do it big. And then we're going to put it where it's supposed to be in the alphabet. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do that on Wednesday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Good questions. Okay, so I am going to change the deadlines for this assignment. I believe that the deadline, as it states now, for the final is this Sunday. And I'm going to move that because this Sunday is Labor Day weekend, and we are not having class next Monday. So we have class this Wednesday, but we're not having class next Monday. So I'm going to move the due date for the final of this letter. And I don't know when. I don't know if it'll be Wednesday or Friday next week. I'm going to look at it and see. So it is not going to be due this Sunday. However, it would be great to look at thumbnails this Wednesday so we can discuss it and you can get some feedback from me before you start to work on the final. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. So this Wednesday is a normal studio day. I suggest coming on. Hopefully I'm gonna be demoing the how to do the letter, showing some examples, and then we will not meet on Monday, and next Wednesday will be a class day like this. So we'll do normally what we do on Monday, not on Monday, on Wednesday next week. Okay.
Cool.
Everyone have a good rest of their day. And I think, has anyone had any trouble turning anything in on the Blackboard? Seems like everyone's getting everything turned in just fine. Anyone have any trouble with that?
No.
No? Okay.
No, the only thing that I've been having trouble with is still just being able to see the recorded, the class afterward.
And you are not the only person having that problem. No one can see the videos from what I can tell. Can you guys see other teachers' videos?
Yes, but
Yeah.
they do it a little bit different.
Yeah.
Where are they putting them? Because no one can tell me where to put them so that they're working. Where are they sticking their videos? Are they
They're like
emailing
uploading
them to you guys?
them to YouTube and then providing that link to that video.
Yeah, they keep telling me that. See, now for some reason, my YouTube, it says the video is too big. They're giant files when they email to me. Okay. I've been told that. So I do need, I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Sorry about that, Jenny. I am going to try to, I'll have to figure out how to upload them to YouTube or a shared drive of some type, and I'll share with you guys the link.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I've got to figure out when they're uploading to YouTube, how they're getting them to accept them, because they must be compiling the file somehow. Okay.
You could put hour-long videos on YouTube. I'm curious how you're not able to fit it due to size.
I am surprised too, because I have plenty of other videos that are longer that I've uploaded, and I don't quite know why it's not taking these. And these are about an hour long.
Perhaps
So,
it's the file format.
yeah,
Maybe.
I've changed the format. I've done all kinds of things. But anyway, so I need to call. I'm going to call Mr. Perry and see if he has some advice on how to get that done.
And you
Sorry.
said that you were going to email Mr. Perry about the illustrator,
I
or
am.
should it be individually? Okay.
You know what? I would go ahead and email him individually, but I'm going to email him as well.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. I will see everyone on Wednesday.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Good
Have a
night.
good day.
Bye bye.
Bye.